What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Today's Sunday the 7th, and welcome to another Gold Rush weekly watch list. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of big names reporting this week. On Monday, we have Six Flags, we have Dish, we have KKR, we have BioNTech, we have Tyson, we have PayPal, Palantir, Lucid, and Western Digital. On Tuesday, we have Nikola, we have COTY, we have Under Armour. Tuesday afternoon, we have Airbnb, we have Rivian, Oxy, Twilio, Affirm, Upstart, Win, right? So a lot of major names. Wednesday in the morning, we have Roblox, Wendy's, Teva. I can't see what those other ones are. On Wednesday afternoon, we have Disney. We've got Beyond Meat. We've got Robinhood. And on Thursday before the open, we have JD. We have Fiverr, Krispy Kreme, Yeti. And after the close, we have... Let's see. Nothing very interesting. There are a lot of smaller companies. Soundhound, IonQ, Semtrex, 8x8. Some companies that you might have never traded before. They might haven't been around for a long time. Like Soundhound sounds like a new company to me. So, and then on Friday we have Spectrum, who offers my current cable service and internet service. All right. There's a whole bunch of stuff scheduled for this week as well in terms of the macroeconomics. So this week we have CPI inflation data on Wednesday, PPI inflation data on Thursday, jobless claims on Thursday as well, and then we have consumer sentiment on Friday. And there's 4 Fed speakers this week, so a lot of volatility. We did make it through all of the major names. The bigger like FANG stocks and such. But I think that this week in the market is going to be pivotal for where we go for the next 3 months or so, right? So, but everything looks very interesting. I have a lot of nice setups in the market. So the first one I have, and let's just go over, the quick 4 or 5, I forget what it is. First one's SPX, which if you are adept and are watching futures, then you know that the equivalent is ES. So and I like to look at ES, especially at this time, because we have some live candlesticks. So we had a nice bounce off of there's kind of a supply zone sitting here in this level. We formed an inverse head and shoulders, sort of, right? Here's your left shoulder, here's your head way down here, and then we have kind of a right shoulder that's formed here on top of the 50-day moving average, with a nice candles out of this bounce, right? Look at this bounce here, boom, nice candlestick pattern, nice fall to retest, and then nice bounce, right? So it's still a battle of what looks to be like a demand zone here versus the supply zone that's sitting around here at 41.85-ish. So I think that this red candle so far is just a pit stop. I think we have a continuation to the upside, but we won't know until tomorrow morning. So that is ES, aka SPX. Right. The next one is QQQ. QQQ is now forming kind of a megaphone pattern within a broader kind of range, right? We tested this range here and the highs of 333 and change to a low of 255.16. So and now we're just testing around within that range, kind of seeing where we're going. I notice this broadening formation forming here on the daily chart. Hang on, there's an ambulance passing by. New York City. Alrighty. So and it's not necessary. There's like no traffic there. Anyway, all right. So we got a broadening formation here. QQQ is very interesting because it kind of fell down within this channel. You see where this anchored VWAP is. This channel here, right? Let me just draw it out because I'm moving the mouse way too quickly. We got this kind of channel that formed, right? Broke out of the channel, came back to test some of the previous highs way back here at the beginning of the megaphone. Found a nice move to the upside. That's 2 fire trucks. Give you a nice opportunity to take a sip of the water there. All right, so We got a nice little consolidation above the previous resistance level here. So I'm just going to draw out this box. Nice little level of consolidation here above this previous resistance at, what was the close of this? 311.72. Right, so we're sitting right above that level. Went sideways a bunch, rested, right? Found equilibrium between buyers and sellers, and now we're looking like a potential move out of this box to the upside. Let me put the box back. Out of this box into the upside, right? So, draw it here. Right, we're just towards the upper range of this consolidated area. So we do have this megaphone pattern. So if that's the case and we pop a little bit and then we kind of find some sort of resistance up here and then fall down a little bit, remember there is a very a nasty daily, actually this is a weekly demand zone, sorry, supply zone that's sitting up here, which means there's going to be maybe a week or two, or a couple of days or two rather, of chop within this area to be expected. This was happening currently with Apple. I don't mean to jump around, but I just wanted to quickly show where Apple kind of halted pretty much all day, right at its demand zone from way back here. So Apple was an interesting one on Friday. All right, so I see a continued move up, but there's going to be some traffic up ahead. Next one is XLF. XLF on the weekly is forming this wedge. Trying to find where it needs to be within this wedge. You see this last weekly candle kind of price opened up below the previous level of the previous day, came all the way down to test support, bounced, and closed below the right around the low of the previous day. So nice little bounce there. I want to see a continuation. I want to see the candlestick open up in. Let me go to the daily. I kind of want to see the candlestick form right next to the current candlestick. You know, maybe test the range of this one candlestick. Come see what the support is here, right below at the low of the day, and see if it can continue to the upside. Right, we have the 50-day right here. That's always going to act as kind of a magnet, but also very strong resistance for XLF. So we'll see what it does tomorrow. XLE has been falling. You know, energies have just been falling. Right, nice consolidation. All the money kind of. This is decision time. Do we want to put money into tech or do we want to put money into energy? And money ended up going into tech. So energy has been falling. It's found a little bit of support here. There looks like there is a kind of a larger scale support sitting here. Right, there's this kind of support there. Plus we got the falling resistance level, which isn't very steep. Let's see if I can stretch the imagination. All right, right there. So we got kind of this megaphone, this inverted megaphone pattern that's forming. Price, buyers and sellers are looking for equilibrium. And once they find it, then you expect a nice, massive move to the outside of that equilibrium. So the first one on the list for this week is Microsoft. Microsoft made an explosive couple of weeks, especially out of this, we had this kind of inverse head and shoulders that formed. Nice little move into the neckline, nice little consolidation right at the neckline, and then a breakout week as of last week. And this week we made a continuation, right? We formed, though not as large as the previous candle, we did form a higher high this week, right? Let's go into the daily. Daily's so beautiful on this. So we had, nice consolidation. Price kind of fell, retested that 100-day, and then bounced out of it. Right. I think the earnings was the catalyst for the move, and so we got that. We got the bounce, and we got a continuation candlestick. Then we got some consolidation, some indecision. Right. So 4 or 5 days of indecision before it continued to break to the upside. So we'll just see. I mean, we have all this previous support that we have to, all this previous resistance here on these 4 candlesticks that we got to come back and test. So that might be a possibility. I'm just going to go ahead and draw a level there at the top of this green candlestick. I like to retest it, right? Pull back to it real quick, find some support on it, and then continue to move. But right now, it looks like it might be experiencing earnings drift, which is an expected continuation in the resulting move out of earnings. So more upside to be found for Microsoft. We got some levels of resistance back here at 315.95, so that'll be the next target. And then I did this with a couple of tickers you'll see on the list. I didn't do it with Microsoft, but if you want to measure the risk reward, this is what I'm looking for whenever you see me entering a setup. I'm looking for an entry at the high of day with some support very, very close by, right? Now, whenever you see me post my levels, and I tried a new format this week, and I think it keeps me organized and it keeps me accountable, and I think that it helps people to kind of gauge whether the setup is interesting enough or will be profitable enough for them. And so I think that this is beneficial to understanding where I find my supports and resistances. So let's see. You know, if I were entering at the break of the high of day, I would come back and probably set my stop to right around here. I would give it enough space to break down below these 4 or 5 candlesticks right here. Even where it's at now might be a little too tight. You know, you might want to bring it down to like the bottom of this little tiny red candlestick, the 4th candle of the day. Just so that you can give it enough kind of flexibility to come down and then work its way up to complete the move. Now, if you want to set a really loose stop, I would just go to maybe this blue line here, wherever this was the previous day's low, right? I would just, and then as you can see, if you pull back, this thing has tested this level a bunch, and so I think it can probably come back to test that level one more time. But go ahead and do that, and then from there you adjust your risk reward, right? Now, I'm giving myself a lot of room with this candlestick. The way that I trade, I typically don't give myself this much room. I would like to keep it to like maybe around here, because you want that risk reward ratio to be high, right? So, you know, it depends on where you want to keep it. And then for this, the target would be the 315.95. This looks like a 1-to-1 depending on where your target is, or rather where your stop is. You can go ahead and just call it 316, right? 316. Let me just edit it. Where is it? 316. 316 is the target. So you see, if you keep your risk as low as the previous, the bottom of that consolidation, let's go back to the 15. If you keep it all the way down there, you don't have an amazing risk reward level, right? For tomorrow's play, and usually like if it's a day trade or a scalp, then I'll have a very tight risk reward. Like I'll have it down here. You want to obviously see way more green than red. So this is Monday's play, right? For the play of the week for Microsoft. Let's see. I think we can easily reach that pivot at the open of the day. That's like one candlestick, and we can open there. And then for the week, you want to bring this up. Depending on your entry, right? If you entered a high of day, now you let it bounce around a little bit. If you take tomorrow's trade and it breaks out and it goes up and it touches this level, hits your target, comes back down the next day, it might try to retest this support. But you want to give yourself enough room depending on the trade. So for the day trade, we'll keep it there. And then for the weekly trade, you bring it down a little bit, give it a little bit more room. Let's go back to the daily. On the weekly, you can give it a little bit more room. I'll go to like the open of the day, and you get a 1.83 to 1. A little bit better, not the best, a little bit better. It really depends on where you want to set your stops. And as you're in the trade and the trade is going in your direction, you can bring your stop losses up, increasing your risk reward ratio, right? And then you get to a point where you can just set your stop at your entry, and you'll never be negative on the trade. So that's how you're supposed to manage your trade. So anyway, you see why Microsoft is attractive, especially based off that weekly candlestick. Right. Next one is LRCX. I like the weekly, but I want to talk about the daily. So we did form what looks to be an inverse head and shoulders. Let's see. I can't really see. I mean, there's kind of a shoulder here, and then we have all this lower level that was tested, and then now we're back up to the previous kind of higher level, especially sitting on top of some of these moving averages. Nice sellers took control at this 529 level, and they brought it all the way back down, but buyers didn't let the fight go without a battle, right? So it gave a nice little bounce at the 20-day, and then we got a nice little bounce right into where the sellers took control. So I think above this level here at 531.49, we can target the 536 level, from there the 548 level, which is just a pivot from this candlestick here. So that's LRCX. AMD obviously gave us a massive day, a massive couple of days. This candlestick here was fueled by the news. If you recall, I think Microsoft is going to invest into AMD's AI development. So I think that's massive news for both of the companies. We had a nice little channel break, and now we're trying to form a new high, right? Let me get rid of all these lines. So you had, I mean, you can kind of say that we're still in the channel. Let me just draw a new channel. It looks like a new channel to me. Draw from here, right? It also looks kind of like a broadening formation that's pointing down. But anyway, we're still within the channel. We're sitting right above the, let's go to the 15-minute. We're sitting right on top of the 50 and the 20-day moving averages, right? We failed to break them on Thursday, even with the news. And we tested it earlier in the weekend. We tested it pre-market and it failed, right? And that's after earnings. So nice cup and handle that formed out of an earnings report. I think they've missed on their service sector or something. I forget what it was. I forget what it was with AMD, but they missed somewhere. The service sector thing was Apple. But anyway, we had a nice cup and handle forming out of AMD in the channel. Price is sitting above the 50 and the 20 for the first time in a couple of weeks. Right here, because it rejected the 20 back here. It was struggling with the 50 for a while and it gave it up on this day. But now it's back on top of it, right? So that's very interesting. And I think very important for AMD that it's battled the 50 for so many days and now it's finally back. So the first target, or the entry rather, would be the high of day. First target would be previous day high. Second target I would set around, I would call it 93, right? That says 93.16. I'll call it, let me see if I can catch 93 with this one. Yeah, close enough, 92.97. So first target is 91.75, second one's 93 for AMD. And if we don't get a continuation, and I think there's, big volume coming in on these 2 days. Everybody that wanted to sell sold it out of that earnings report, and now we had a nice bounce, right? So I think that the sentiment is bullish. So I see a continuation here above 92, above 93, we get 95, above 95, we get 97. And then I think above this top level is 102. So a lot to look forward to with AMD. Next one is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is I think it's very self-explanatory, nice higher highs and higher lows to form that uptrend, right? And now we kind of consolidated a bit. Found some selling pressure here at this level at 280, and now we kind of found support around that level now, right? We had a little bit of buyers and sellers going at it past couple of days, but on Friday buyers took control and gave us the gap up. Now, one thing that was interesting is that Apple is the catalyst for the reason why the market was green. Those results were positive overall, right, for tech overall, and so I think that Apple gave us the green day, which will give us a follow through with every other, and there's obviously many other companies that are stronger than Apple in terms of setup, and other companies that made a stronger move in terms of their percent gain of the day. But the important thing is that Apple gave us the green day, right? So that's, I think that you want to look at the leaders in every sector and then dial it down to whichever one is the absolute best setup. And as you know, that's what we look for here all the time. So I think NVIDIA is going to be one of those really, really good setups for next week, especially if you look at the weekly chart. That's a clear bull flag with a kind of breakout. We tested that previous level at 289.46, and I think we're going to give it another go this week. Above that 289.46, we can target this level here at, let's call it the pivot. We have 298, which might just turn out to be 300, and then we have 313, right? So some interesting levels to get. And if you look at it on the chart, it sounds crazy because NVIDIA is at 286, but you look at it on the chart and it's not that crazy. It's not too much of a stretch for NVIDIA to have pulled back and consolidated as much as it has, bouncing off that 20 to continue to move to the upside, especially with all this good news in the market. I'll take a quick sip of water. Okay. Next one is Costco. I love Costco. This is one of my favorite stocks to trade. I'm constantly looking at Costco, constantly looking at DKS, constantly looking at Walmart. I love watching these charts. It's not my favorite, right? Amazon. Look at Pepsi, insane. Amazon's another one. So Costco. I set an alert for the high of day. I want to see it break that 200-day moving average, which happens to be around at the $500 mark. If it doesn't give us that, I think it'll give us a strong rejection and give us another candlestick such as this one on Wednesday. So I'm either looking for a strong move up or a strong move down. out of Costco, $4.99. Now, when I say strong move, I mean, you know, this candlestick opened up at $4.93. That's a $7 day. $7 on a contract that's $5 out or $10 out. That's a big move, right? So that's why I like to keep, especially Costco. Costco always gives you like a nice, you know, 2% day on a $500 stock is like $10, right? And $10 is enough to move an options chain. At least 2 spots or 3 spots, depending on how, you know, how priced, how far the premiums are. So Costco's a favorite of mine. Let's see what it does this week. Next one is Walmart. Walmart has, so I drew my daily, you know, whatever I'm looking to trade for tomorrow on it. I think that Walmart is good for a nice continuation move, especially with the strength in the sector overall. Look at how far above it is, above its 200-day moving average, its 100-day moving average, and its 50-day moving average. And I mean, you would think that it's extended, but I think that, let's go back to the daily, I think that this consolidation for these past few days, you know, nice little consolidation for about almost a week and a half, right? At a previous level of support, letting the moving average catch up. You know, nice. Let's go back to the weekly real quick. We had a nice consolidation here, followed by a spring, bouncing out and forming a new high for the year. For the year, right? And now we have these upper levels to test. We kind of have a cup and handle forming off the weekly chart. Handles forming right now with all this consolidation, all this fight between buyers and sellers. So I want to see a continuation. Let's go to the 15 real quick. I'm looking for it to break the high of day. I'll set my stop at previous support resistance here at 151.77. And I'm looking for a $2 move, or rather a $1 move to the upside for Walmart. Nothing crazy. So, and let me just go back to measure the risk reward. And you keep it tight and you move it up as you know, price continues to progress upwards. 3.83 is the risk reward on this. So I think it's a decent risk reward. And that's really what you want to look for. You want to look for 3 and above. You want to look for it to be able to make 3 times the move on the upside than your stop, right? So Walmart's a perfect setup for that. Next one is Amazon. Amazon I have at a 2.38 to 1 risk reward ratio. Let's go to the 1 hour. Yeah, so with Amazon, actually, let's do the weekly real quick. Amazon's a very, very nice setup. So if you recall, if you've been watching Amazon for a while, you see that Amazon's formed this inverse head and shoulders. You have a shoulder here. You have your head down here at 82 and change. And you got your second shoulder that's formed right around here at around the $100 mark. Going into the daily, you have on a daily, you have kind of a cup and handle, kind of higher highs, you know, all kinds of bullish behavior from Walmart. Right, you have your higher highs, your higher lows to form this kind of uptrend. You have a change of character where if you see, like, we have lower lows and lower highs way back here, and now we've kind of changed directions. We formed our first higher high, right? Here's your low, here's your high, there's a higher one, and there's an even higher one, right? Then we came back and formed a low, right? Low over here, a little bit higher than the previous low. We still got to take this high out in order for it to be, I would call, you know, a real change in trend. But so far we've been forming higher highs and higher lows. So now that it's formed this new low here, I want to see it try to make a new high here above this 110. We have the 200-day moving average sitting right between where we are and where we want to go. And so that's going to be the first stop. Let's go to the 1 hour. That 200 day is going to be the first point that we have to kind of break above and, you know, hold support over and be strong over, right? Bulls want strength above that 200-day moving average. And then above that 200-day moving average, we can try to target that 107.88, which is a previous pivot. And that'll give us, what's the risk reward on this? Go to daily. What's going on here? I zoomed out too far. And then with this current setup, you know, and this is like a Monday, Tuesday trade, right? This is a 2.38 to 1, so not too bad. And then obviously as you enter, you bring your stop up, bring it up higher. At this point, if you bring it up to where the previous day open or closed rather, you got a 10 to 1 risk reward ratio, which is phenomenal, right? So you have to really decrease your risk as the trade goes on and gets safer, right? Next one is Pepsi. So Pepsi, I mean, there's nothing else to be said. Pepsi's it's at all-time highs right now. is just showing a lot of strength. Good consolidation, letting the moving averages kind of get tangled amongst themselves, and then change in direction where it kind of just bounced, formed a bunch of, and look at how crazy this thing trades, man. It's just doji, 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 right? Then now after it kind of reaches this high and pulls back, it starts to form some bigger candles. Look at this massive candle, right? Then we got kind of a 3-bar play setup where, let's go to the 2-day. I think maybe the 2-day will show it. Kind of. So you got the igniting move, then you got some consolidation for the next couple of days, and then you got a continuation of the move to the upside. So, I mean, not the prettiest, but nevertheless, it's a strong move. Now, the only thing that worries me about Pepsi is that it's really extended from its moving averages, especially this 20. It hasn't touched this 20 since way back here in the 17th of March. So I do want to see it pull back, or I want to see it maybe consolidate a little bit more before it continues to move, letting some of these moving averages catch up. I mean, look at this 50. This 50 is going to, when this thing turns up, it's going to go crazy. So I think there's a big move for Pepsi, and I'll continue to watch it to the upside. CCJ is a nice setup, in my opinion, for this week. You take the break of the high of day, keep your stop right at the close of day, and you target this previous candlestick here. You got a 2.93 to 1 risk reward ratio. Let's go to the 1 hour, and you got kind of a extremely strong move, very, very strong move all day, and then it found some support where there was previous resistance. If you look over to the left, CCJ, and I just got to train myself into looking at tickers that I know can do like a multi-day move for very, very cheap premium, and CCJ is going to be one of those that is very important for our small account challenge that we're starting next month, the first Monday of June. So this is going to be one of the tickers that you'll see there, and I got to figure out whether or not I'm going to label them as small account challenge, like in order to show confidence or not. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm looking through the week and I'm like, wow, let's see kind of what we hit this week. I'm just gonna name some names, and you'll notice that a lot of the names are the same names that you've seen for the past 30, 20 weeks or 10 weeks or however long we've had this year, right? Just the same names all year. Let's see, Pepsi, Camping World was a new one. We got Tesla. We have XOM, Amazon, AMD, Disney, Baidu, right? Netflix, SPX, obviously. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, QQQ, right? Costco, Tesla, Starbucks. Let's see, Meta, right? So a lot of monsters, just with beautiful setups, and I think that CCJ is going to be a good addition to one of them. I think the point of that was, I feel very confident about every single one of these and their ability to yield 20% or 30% or 40% profit, right? Out of all of these that I named, there might have been one that didn't do it. I mean, Apple for sure, unless you caught the very, very start of the move, Apple for sure didn't do it on Friday. And there was another couple of names that I think we put out that didn't really yield any major gains. And by major gains, I mean like 200%, 100%, 150%, massive, massive gainers. I think that every single one of these trades is enough to yield 30%. And so those who are going to join me in the small account challenge next month, I think that, pick one, right? Pick whichever one you like the best, whichever chart looks the prettiest, whichever sector you like the most, whichever story you like the most, right? Just pick and go 20%, 30%. I'm really excited about this challenge, if you can't tell. So CCJ is going to be one of those names that I think is going to be ready for that challenge, especially if you look at the weekly. The weekly was what drew me to CCJ. So you had this nice consolidation of breakdown, spring, 10 weeks of back-to-back green candlesticks, and then it kind of finally found some resistance, consolidated a bit, pulled back, consolidated a bit, and bounced. So I think there's a continuation for a move to the upside here for CCJ, and I think that's going to pay for the next couple of weeks. The next one is RCL. I looked at the weekly candlestick on this. This is a monster. I mean, crazy candle from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of the range, right? And not only that, but we have a nice cup and handle that formed on the weekly for RCL, right? Nice cup and handle. Here's your cup. There's your another little mini cup or a handle, whatever you want to call it. And then what did I want to 70? What was it? 75, 75.99, 76? I don't know. This level that it's currently at has been, and I want to go back to the daily, see it clear on the daily. And let me just hide these for a second. Let's see. Is it this one and this one? Yeah, okay, good. So this level at 75.99, 76, right? Previous, we've touched it like 10 times in the past, right? Recently over here, and then we found support on over here. We've just been on either side of this candle, this price level for a very, very long time, all the way back. And look, I mean, pivots, right? Strong pivots, all the way back, testing. Actually, I think it goes even further. Yeah, this thing goes all the way back to 2015. This is a very key level. So I think that with all this strength, with this increase, this increase in price here on a consistent basis, forming an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows, we have a potential for a nice breakout move above this 76 level. And I set my target as the high of the previous candlestick. If you look all the way to the left, where is it? Is it here? Yeah, right there. All the way to the left. There's kind of a previous pivot level there at 70. What is it? Hold on. That's the only thing I don't like about this. 77.76. I think it was like an even 77.77 or something like that. But anyway, I think this is going to be a nice one for us this week. Let me put my other couple of lines back on. That one's going to be a major one for us this week, in my opinion. The next one is Caesar. The reason why I like Caesar is because, let's do the 1 hour. It's sitting below most of its moving averages, so I think it's in a key spot because it's just so close to them. And then what I really like about it is, we had this low way down here at the left of your screen. This low here at 41.15. This high here at 49.54, and then we've kind of rediscovered newer lows and highs within those two. And so we have this high here. We got kind of a lower day here. Kind of, some consolidation here with a bounce, some failure, and now we're retesting that consolidation area here to either go up or down. If you look at the daily, it's like a candlestick all on its own. So with buyers and sellers kind of fighting to see who's going to take control. Let me just zoom in on this candlestick. This is like a really nice setup, only because I think it's going to give us a big move to the upside or downside out of this indecision candlestick. So I set my levels above 45.31 and below 44.44, and I'm targeting. I think it's upside just based on the bounce and based on this previous support here. I think we have a continuation to the upside. The first level is going to be that 200-day moving average. I think the 50 is going to be a non-factor at this point. I mean, obviously it came into play on this day and on this day. But I think with the 200 there, they might be at the same level tomorrow, right? We'll see. But we got to make it above these moving averages and find some support there before we can come back and test this 46.65 high of previous candlestick on Wednesday. And then above that, we have some little smaller levels here, and then we got that 100-day. So let's see what CZR does. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Caesar's always been a good stock to trade, especially for small accounts. So again, I think that there's a potential for us to make money there. Next one is Marvell. Marvell is chip company, and yeah, that's what I wanted to see. We have a kind of an inverse head and shoulders that formed on the weekly. Here's your left shoulder, here's your head, here's your right shoulder, right? And then there's a retest at that level. I actually drew this fib. I don't know if you can see it, so I'm going to change the color of it. Let's call it, I think this blue is probably one of the easier ones. I'll just make it black. So we have, what I did was I drew a Fibonacci retracement from the top of this candlestick here, which is 49.49. The bottom of this candlestick here, which is 33.75. It gives us the extension level 1618, which is the ultimate target, which is, wow, look at that, a previous resistance. Wow, how convenient. I don't know what that voice was, but anyway, we got that nice move out of this support level, bounce, pull back, found some support on the 23.6% Fibonacci level. I found some resistance at the 618, back to that 23.6. Do we go back to the 618, right? Back where that 618 is going to meet that 200-day moving average. I think that's the first target for this MRVL, and then above that we got that 78.6. So I think that, and again, we were looking at the weekly chart, so there's a little bit of time before this plays out. If you want to look at like tomorrow's play, for example, just give some more room. For tomorrow's play, I mean, it has to stay above these moving averages here, and then I think it can test this 50% move at 41.62. I probably won't even look for anything tomorrow until I see it break above that 41.62. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert at that fib level, and where it's at is nice for like a quick trade. Right, you can get a nice little 1 day trade out of it, or a nice little scalp between where it's at and where its target is. But I needed to clear this level and also have these moving averages turn around and turn upward, especially that 50 day. That 50 day needs to flatten and slope a little bit before it can start turning around. So I want to see those couple of things happening. I want to see price up above here, and I want to see these two curling before it gets to the point where I feel confident calling it out. Looking at the daily chart, you also have this falling wedge. This falling wedge setup, which is a very, very beautiful setup. Let me get rid of the fib, or let me just paint it again. Right. Okay. So I want to see this falling wedge kind of break above, and this is going to be the larger move. I want to see price above here, hit the 200. Above the 200, we can try to test this high right here, and then from there we can target that 1618 if we get that falling wedge breakout, right? So let's see what happens. Marvell's definitely has my interest. Next one is TSM. I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. TSM. What do I like about TSM? I like the small time frame. I like, not so much the bigger picture, but where we are now. I like it finding support off the 200 day a couple of times. I like that it consolidated and made a nice gappy move out of that consolidation. Right, it gave us that consolidation here and made a nice little gappy move out of that consolidation right into the 20 day. TSM is anything that happens with AMD and NVIDIA, especially AMD and TSM are very closely tied together. So like if AMD is making a move, look at TSM's chart and see what it can offer you, right? I don't know if TSM goes back to AMD. I'm not sure. But AMD definitely benefits TSM. So, AMD had that nice move the past couple of days, and that's what prompted me to look at this chart. And on Friday, this just gave us, that was just a fun play. That was a fun play. All right, let's see. We had the 84 call, and we had the 85 call for TSM on Friday. So I was looking at, let me just look at that. I just have to recap this for myself because this was such a fun time for me personally. Let's see, where is it? Here. And it was fun. It's fun when the trade makes the trade floor, right? It wasn't even inside of the play channel, the gold mine. So let's see. TSM, blah blah. 84 call was called at 12:51, which is right around here. Right here actually. So I was looking for an in the money, something that's gonna go. I think it was the 84 call was 54 cents. Looking for like 54 to 75. That's a 50% move. That's a monster, right? So I was looking for that with these couple of candlesticks, and then we had the 85 call at 12:52. The 85 call for next week rather at 12:52. Because I did see a potential for a nice move, and I didn't want to risk it pulling back and not making the move entirely on Friday, so I gave some time on that 85 call. And then for shits and giggles, I threw out the 0 day 85 call, which ended up going for 1,000%. It went from $4 to $54. So very nice move in my opinion. Out of TSM just for some fun, right? Especially with this bull flag that formed here. We had the cup and handle into a bull flag into a continuation. So I like it for some more this week. TSM I think is going to be a fun one this week. Depending on what happens with NVIDIA, depending on what happens with AMD. And again, I want to see it above that 20-day moving average to target this 100-day, right? So I have my eye on TSM for quite some time. What do you guys have? Let's look at Lulu. Lulu after the gap up kind of found some support and resistance in this wedge, broke out above this wedge, came back and tested previous resistance, bounced, tested it again, and then continued the move. So Lulu's making new highs. I don't think this is all-time high. Yeah, no, this is new highs. So very strong move for Lulu. I'm gonna get rid of some of these. Get rid of some of these levels. If you guys have any requests, go ahead and throw them in the trade floor. I'm gonna look at Tesla also. I don't know why Tesla didn't come up. It kind of has like a rising wedge vibe to it. Kind of has like a rising wedge vibe to it. So I want to see some major acceleration out of Lulu, like major acceleration out of this zone in order to invalidate this rising wedge. Otherwise, I think it can come back. If this thing doesn't break up, it's going to break down pretty hard to come back to test the top of this gap. I don't think it gaps, but I think it just tests the top of the gap over the course of a couple of days, right, or weeks. Let's see. Let's do Tesla real quick. And then after Tesla, I blew through this one today. Let's see. After Tesla, we'll look at a couple more. Tesla. So Tesla has a nice little gap down. Let's go to the 1 hour. So Tesla gave us a gap down as a result of earnings on the 20th or the 19th, whatever day that was. And so we had been forming some lower lows and lower highs. We did wedge a little bit into earnings, which is expected. All right, it's quite expected to find some indecision before a major catalyst such as earnings. Right, so we got that. What's going on? We got the breakdown of the wedge on earnings, and now we're forming kind of an inverse head and shoulders. Here's your shoulder, here's your head, here's your shoulder. Tesla, is it a double? No, it's they beat on earnings, they didn't beat on revenue. Elon is drastically lowering the price of his vehicles, which leads me to believe, and I don't know, I mean, I could be totally wrong on this, and maybe we can do some research on it, but Elon bringing his price down so drastically, the only way he can do that and remain profitable and generate higher revenue is by lowering the production cost of the car. So, and I know that he just recently opened up something internationally. If I'm correct, I don't know what's going on in China right now. Also, like, I'm very blind to the China at the moment. So if anybody has any insight on what's going on with Elon in China, or rather Tesla in China, if he found a way to bring his production costs way down, which is why he's able to justify bringing his manufacturer price, market price down, while increasing units, increasing revenue, increasing profits. If he's figured that out, then I think that it's going to be reflected in this breakout move out of this inverse head and shoulders. I haven't listened to the earnings call. I don't know what it's very important to know what the production costs are. So I'll do some research on that, just because I'm obviously a shareholder. I don't know what, I just don't know. I haven't looked into their story recently, especially with all the price cuts. So I'm going to take it upon myself to do so. Right now we're sitting at a current level of previous support. If you look over to the left at 169.66, we had a pivot there back in the around the 12th of March or the 13th of March. And then before that at the beginning of February. So this is going to be a key level to break. We have the 100-day sitting right there. So both two very interesting levels, and the 20-day, right? So three very interesting levels to break. And I bet you, if I draw a fib here, I bet you there's something here. Let's see. We got the 618 slightly above it. 618 slightly above it at 173. So I like Tesla for continuation. I want to see it fill that gap. I want to see it fill this gap. I want to see it fill the gap all the way into 178, and then I wanted to test that 50-day. So I like Tesla for that. We'll see what it's gonna do tomorrow. I'm actually gonna set my alert to right here. PLTR, got you. That alert. Palantir. So earnings, they have earnings tomorrow after hours. It does look like a weekly inverse head and shoulders. It does look like a weekly inverse head and shoulders, right? We have your shoulder area here. You have your head down here. You have a potential shoulder here. Now this looks very similar to, what was the other one that we looked at? I forget which, but it has that similar look where it came down and pulled back to the 23% fib, came down and did it again, right? So, with this, the only thing that, if you want to trade Palantir, if you have some insider information that's going to cause it to go up or down, I would be interested in that. Off the record, obviously that was a terrible joke to the alphabet boys that are listening right now. But I think that Palantir is cheap enough where you can buy both sides, and if you want to lotto through earnings, go for it. I don't know what it's going to do. I think the setup looks like it might want to retest. It looks like it kind of wants to retest this previous low before continuing, which occurred on one of our setups. Let me see if I can find it, because now it's bothering me. Let's see. No, I think it was. Which one was it? Was it NVIDIA? No. I forget which one it was, but we just looked at it a minute ago. But anyway, Palantir looks like it's just retesting that previous low. Technical, there's nothing to say in terms of technical in regards to earnings. Technical and earnings just do not belong together. Because the result of the earnings is what's going to dictate the price. But there is an inverse head and shoulders forming on the weekly for sure. And so if we get some, if by convenience we get a nice little good news, and I think Palantir is closely, the wide adoption of AI, and obviously AI is just a major part of the conversation now, the cultural and social conversation. Palantir stands to benefit from that. So if Palantir they talk about some crazy technology. They have all the data. They're a data company. They collect data for companies, right? They work with Boeing. They work with government agencies. Like Palantir's got their claws everywhere. So I'm a shareholder. I sound like I'm a fucking shareholder. But but if you're thinking about a long-term play, I think Palantir will be a good one. I think there's a few of them that are going to be really good that are really, really cheap right now. And I mean cheap relative to where it's traded at in the past. Let's go to the monthly. You can just see it's below its IPO. So relative to previous highs, the high of this candlestick was like $45. So yeah, I'm a shareholder, 100%. But Palantir's like 30-year horizon. Like Palantir, I'll give to my daughter. But yeah, I think if they have something good to say about AI, then it can go up. But if not, then it's going to continue to be shit in my hand, right? Next one is, and another one that I was looking at earlier. I was laughing about Jumia. Yeah, this thing is a penny stock now. I remember making my first big play was with Jumia. I caught it. When did I catch it? It was in the 2020s. Yeah, it was over here somewhere. It was like I don't know, like a 35 call or something like that. And I got it. Where was it? Was it here? Or a 30? It was something. I forget what it was. And it just like made a massive accelerated move. I ended up making like I took $750 to $8,000 on that trade, and it was like a 2-week hold or something like that. It was just insane, and I knew nothing about trading. I was just getting started learning. Let me scale that back. I knew nothing about how financials affected the price, right? Obviously, for me, it was just like, it was all technical analysis. It was all like, oh, what's this pattern? What's that pattern? It was all about momentum, which obviously it's tattooed into my mind, right? Like momentum is clearly something I always keep into account. but I didn't understand. That was towards the beginning of my journey for financial. So Jumia was a fun one. I'll never trade this shit again, and I've never owned it, and it's fucking terrible. Palantir is a different story. Going back to ES. See the weekly, nothing interesting there. I mean, ES, we got some buyers and sellers are fighting in this area. As expected, we're going to chop around based on the demand zone, or rather the supply zone that's sitting here. Where is it? Here. Right. Weekly demand zone, weekly supply zone. It's good that price is fighting within this level, because that means that, it's not, as it rejected, it pulled right back into it for 2 weeks in a row. And I think that, it's sitting in this level and fighting this level means that there's some more continuation move to the upside. Apple, one that we haven't looked at yet. Apple is currently within that demand zone, or rather that supply zone. And I think that it's going to be really tough based on the nice consolidation for 3 weeks here, and then big, massive move down, and then pull back right into that level, like bounced hard right into that level, and all the sellers were still there. So they're still there. So we want to see where what Apple does this week in regards to this level, right? I would love to see like a resting bar for the week, especially with all the macroeconomics that's going on. A good resting bar just to kind of let the moving averages catch up. I mean, look how extended it is from the 50. 50 is way down here. It is forming higher highs, higher lows, sitting off that 20-day moving average. I just need to see Apple do the same thing. I need to see it kind of trade within this supply zone before it continues to move to the upside. Looking at the weekly, I mean, this is a beautiful chart. If we can get into this level and trade in this level, we'll be at $180, which is like insane for Apple. And then we have all-time high over here at 182.96. So we're very, very close. We're less than $10 away from that. And you see how nice and calculated Apple is. I mean, it made a nice accelerated move on the right pre-COVID, and then it gave us that drop, and then a massive just explosion out of that. After this massive explosion, obviously you got to pull back a little bit, find some support, find some equilibrium, and it came back and tested this previous level of resistance, support, right? Support. So if everything fails here, we're headed right back to that support, which is right where the daily 100-day moving average is, which is strange. Actually, no, this is a VWAP. Yeah, this is a VWAP. Yeah, that's a VWAP. That's COVID low. Let me actually name that. So, anything else you guys want to take a look at? It's an interesting bounce there. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for being part of this. Again, I'm very excited for that small account challenge we have in about 4 weeks. It's going to be a big discipline challenge for me. It's going to be challenging to not let things run, right? Even though we know they can. I think that I'm going to encourage lots of the same exact play, just different levels, right? So it's up to you whether you hold it or you sell it. I'm personally going to go for discipline. It's going to be very challenging for me. But you guys can see I'm a diamond hander on Palantir. So let's see. Let's test my discipline on the percent gain side. All right, thanks guys. Have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Peace.